Hi, I'm Peter Heine Nielsen, a Danish chess politician, and I'm joined by Grandmasters Jan-Krzysztof and Laurent Fressinet, and we will have a preview on the upcoming Candidates tournament. So, hi Jan and Laurent. Okay. Hello everybody, I'm Peter Heine Nielsen, a Danish chess politician, and I'm joined by Grandmasters Laurent Fressinet and Jan-Krzysztof. We're going to do a preview on the upcoming Candidates tournament. Hi, Jan and Laurent.
Why so serious? Did you hear that? I mean, since he's since he's an official candidate to Gensu Nasunos.
Yes.
Well, it sounds so serious. That's amazing, actually.
I would like to thank all the countries nominating the Boris Nielsen tickets for their support. We're really going to do our absolute best to not let you down.
And especially the anti-Netherlands, yeah?
No, that was true. That it was a race against the clock, but the Netherlands Antilles came to the rescue, and we are very grateful for that. Of course, we're grateful for everybody who endorsed us, but in chess terms, we were definitely in time trouble when someone came to save us. So that I can only say it's very, very much appreciated and such. But
speaking
anyway,
of time trouble, this is of course a candidates preview, the most exciting chess tournament of the year, where 8 gladiators battle it out to face the world champion Magnus Carlsen in a match. Or will they? We will talk about their chances and, of course, also about their chances of getting a match against Magnus. Because Peter Heine, now that he's a chess politician running on transparency, can, of course, tell us Magnus's exact thoughts about whom he will play and whom he won't play.
So, you think, how many transparency jokes we'll make during this podcast, Jan?
18.
18, okay, that's a good target, yeah. No, I mean, like, it's very much anticipated, of course. This candidates tournament is just generally amazing show, and well, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's we are getting closer and closer by the day. So, and the field is amazing, actually. No, not so many chickens. Some chickens are missing. Like Wesley or Anish, but I mean, Levon is missing, which is a pity, of course, but you have 8 players. You cannot have 10 players, and all of them deserve to be there.
Why can't we have 10 players?
We could have had, I mean, they have had that.
FIDE must
earlier.
fix.
Yeah. No, I also want to weigh in, and well, I would even say that Anish and Wesley would have been great additions to this tournament as well. But for me, also the candidates is incredibly anticipated, not only to find out who gets the right to challenge Magnus, but also as someone like me who cares so much about chess openings. It's very fascinating to have 8 of the best players in the world who will really show the absolute best in the opening, because this is the event that matters so much for them. So, I mean, I'm very excited about that part as well.
Yeah. Me too. So
Anyway, should we start? I think the plan is that we will go over all of the 8 players in turns. I don't know, should we just each get to pick one in turns and we start like that? Or you have any kind of specific order in mind?
As long as I pick Firouzja. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, but we should start with Duda, yeah, by rating, yeah. We said
okay, let's do it in reverse
with Firouzja, yeah.
ELO rating order. Okay. So Duda, and we have sort of 6 different categories we want to debate, right? And we start out with current form, and well, I can see Laurent is the one who rates his form the lowest. So. Please,
yeah, I gave him. So we go from 0 stars to 5 stars, and I gave him a 3 because it's hard to say. He didn't play much, and I mean, it's always hard to say with Duda because he's very much unpredictable to my eyes. Always very interesting to watch, obviously, but I don't know. How do you know, guys? I mean, he didn't play so much. I think he played one classical tournament since the start of the year. So
both me and Jan gave him a 4, and I think it's his recent wins he won this Rapid and Blitz part of Grand Chess Tour in Warsaw recently, and then he won the Masters section of the Magnus Chess Tour in Oslo. Right, that is 2 tournaments win. I understand they're not classical chess, but he still gets me to give him a 4 instead of your 3.
I regret my choice now because I remembered he did badly in Vaikanze, and I think that was his last classical tournament.
Correct.
So yeah, I think a 3 is very reasonable as well. But what stuck to my mind was also him winning these 2 things. Although this Champions Chess Tour he won, it was a bit of a weird tournament where everybody messed up in the end, and I think he won, I don't know, 4 matches out of 7 or whatever it was. I'm not sure how big that is, but still, looked like he's been steadily improving. Vaikanze was a bit of a setback, but
let's remind that
he's here to stay.
He won. He qualified thanks to his win in the World Cup, which was last summer, and was of course very impressive. Where he beat, of course, Kayakin in the final, and who is not, of course, eligible for the tournament.
But Magnus in the semi-final.
So he did very
well. But I will just say that I think this feeling of having won something he has in the body now, and this somehow gives some kind of self-confidence. Anyway, we are running a tight schedule here, so motivation. Laurent has him a 4 out of 5, while me and Jan has him a 5. Again, Laurent, you are the one standing out, so you get to speak.
Yeah, no, I think his motivation is good, but it's not like I don't think he feels that it's lifetime chance. He thinks maybe it's his first candidate. So I mean, it is definitely his first candidate. So it's not like he thinks if he doesn't qualify, he won't have another chance, which might be the case for other people. And I don't think his motivation will be high, but not like someone.
Okay. Let me make the case for disagreeing with that. I think that he's the lowest rated, and it's not a guarantee he will play the candidates again. And he's trying to be part of the world elite. And to be that, he need a good result here, because should he actually end up like his rating being last, he will not. He will have to find himself as not a world-class elite player, and I think there's a lot of stake for him in that sense.
Okay, then we agree. And motivation is, I mean, like to go all in. For me, motivation is to go all in to win. For him, I mean, if you tell him before the tournament you finish, you end up in
second place. But it's true. We have 1 4 and 2 5s. So you want to add in, Jan? Or?
Yeah, no, I think obviously he's gonna be motivated. I don't really think anybody thinks about their legacy, like, okay, if I fail, I'm not in the top anymore, or I'll have more chances because I'm young. I believe that you just prepare for the tournament that's at stake, and it's the biggest tournament of his career so far, and I see no reason why he shouldn't prepare.
Also, we are rating him all incredibly highly, while, for instance, the next category is chances to win. You guys both have him at 2, and I have him as 1. So it's clear that we think he's motivated, but quite unlikely. Well, that's not very unreasonable, as he's the lowest rated. Well, I just don't see him as one of the favorites. I mean, I like the guy, I respect him as a lot of chess players, but he is the last bottom-rated player, and it would be nothing short of a sensation if he wins. So I gave him a 1, you guys gave him a 2, and you can sort of tell me why you don't have him only at a 1, for instance.
I don't know. We'll get to it later. I think there are 3 clear favorites, maybe 4. We can debate that, and then everybody else can't be the favorite. But I don't think he's far behind any of the players. Also, he's someone who's shown he can win tournaments. So if he catches a bit of speed early on, and if his preparation is good, he's shown he can beat the likes of Magnus in a match with classical games. Why shouldn't he have a shot?
Yeah, and he's young as well. So, I mean, it makes a difference because it's pretty long tournament. So it can be, you need stamina at the end of the tournament. And, he showed that he won the World Cup. So, I mean, we all played the World Cup. We didn't play close as many rounds as he did, but I was always incredibly tired after the World Cup. And my record, my best result. Okay, now Peter will come up with his quarterfinals. But my best result was to lose in the third round, and I was already, incredibly tired. So, this is very impressive. To win the World Cup shows a lot of stamina, and it's very important for this candidates tournament.
I actually would like to correct you. I have not played the quarterfinals of the World Cup, but I've played the last 16.
Last 16, okay.
Fair enough. Anyway, chances to get the match. Jan, you have him at 3, me and Fres at 2.
First of all, we should explain that category, which I guess means if he wins the candidates, then will Magnus want to play a match against him, because Magnus has been famously unsure, to put it mildly, if he wants to play another World Championship match. So this is basically a guessing game if Magnus would like to play them, unless Peter has inside info. I would just think he's friendly with Duda. He said he's more likely to play against someone of the new generation, which Duda certainly is. And I would guess he also feels, first of all, that he can beat him. He will feel like that with everybody. But that his chances would be good, and there could be an exciting match because Duda has an exciting style. Plus, there's some revenge factor for this World Cup thing. I don't know. It's just making up stuff. I wouldn't know, but I would think if he happens to win, his chances are as good as anybody's not named. Alireza?
I gave him a 2, but I get your point about the revenge factor. You can argue that Magnus has actually lost to him on the way for him qualifying, and then somehow, there would be some logic in that. My sort of numbers in this category is kind of generic, and I think I've given him a 2 because Magnus haven't played him before, and that adds a bit to the likeliness, I would say. And then but I'm still sticking to that Magnus has said that most likely he will not defend his title. So
but I don't think I have another. I agree with what Jan said, but I don't think that Magnus thinks it will be an interesting match. That it's challenging. There's no challenge with Duda. Let's say, we'll come to that later. But there's
no. I meant chess-wise, like style-wise, it could be an interesting
style-wise, but yeah. Okay. 2 or 3 anyway is very close. So. Yeah.
Then we come to the favorite category, which is chickenness, which of course here part of the show. Laurent, 0 chickenness in your opinion?
Yeah, because he's taking a lot of risk. I saw him so many times taking some incredible risk to try to win games and not repeating moves and going ahead and going forward. And there's few people in that tournament who are doing that on a regular basis. They are just crossing the line, objectively speaking. Taking way too many risks. So, it's not for me. He has 0 chickenness in his play, no, in his repertoire. Actually, he has a very direct and aggressive repertoire. So I don't see where you see. If you see chickenness in Duda, then I would be happy to hear about it.
Okay.
No, I generally agree. I would think his repertoire is changing, or you could say maturing a little bit. Like, what does he play against? E4 Petrov in Berlin? That's not the craziest openings in the world, right? So I think his repertoire is adjusting a bit to super tournaments, and there is some factor of, trying a bit harder to equalize and not being, going for a win in every game at extensive risks. But no, I agree. He keeps pushing it. He also seemed extremely unafraid of Magnus and just kept playing for a win. No, he's not. He's not a member of the club. Sorry, Jan-Krzysztof.
I will give him a 2. So that apparently is the highest in that sense. But I will probably say that one should still see 2 as a compliment. Maybe I feel that is sort of the sweet spot. That being a chicken is not only bad, you also need to have some kind of realism. And I think he's gotten that with openings and such, playing more healthy or healthy-ish openings and such. So I've given him a 2. I agree it could also be a 1, but I think 1.5 is the chicken factor you should aim for as a competitive player, I would say. So that's my one.
So you think it's important to have some chickenness in you?
Of course.
To be,
Yes, no doubt.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. Then the last category is openings. And me and Fress are giving him a free, and Jan has not filled in his form yet. So I don't know, we'll have to...
I mean,
Could you please do that?
Well, I could also tell you my number.
Fair enough.
3.
3, so we all agree. It's just... he's exactly in the middle, and...
He's
It
fine,
was
I think
easy,
he's
but
quickly
let's-
improving. It used to be
Yeah.
a weakness, I think it no longer is, but he's not on a Fabi level, of course.
Yeah, it used to be a disaster actually. Like it used to be really a weak side, weak point for Duda. But yeah, recently it went much better, and maybe the addition of Petrov and stuff like that were clever.
I think he's also an
Marshall
example
stuff
of
like
that, as we've mentioned, that openings is something that's possible to improve, but just by working on it. And he seems to be doing that. Also, I would like to point out that I said that 3 is in the middle, but we are going from 5 to 0, so the average is actually 2.5. So he's in the slightly above average group.
Can we do half points? I wasn't sure if we're allowed to do half points.
No, I don't think so. You have to choose a side. You can just not say.
Yeah.
You can't just stay neutral.
So you gotta understand, it's rough in the Chicken Chess Club if we can't go for half a point.
I understand. But we're pushing you out of your comfort zone.
So the next one,
Would be Teimour Radjabov.
Teimour Radjabov, who is still playing in Norway chess.
He's still playing in Norway chess, and it seems to be affecting you two guys, because on current form, you've given him a 0, while I have given him a 1, which is in very bad form, but that seems to be the most positive evaluation so far.
That's
So-
just a disaster.
well-
He's overthinking every decision, playing some really bad games. Also in Armageddon, you can yesterday against at the time of the recording, it was yesterday against Vichy. I mean, he just blundered some quite simple tactic. I mean, like everything is going wrong. I mean, like tell me one positive side about his play.
I agree here, he's been quite bad. I will say that in some online event, he has been doing quite well.
It was a while. It was a while ago. He didn't. Play
It's a while ago, I agree. Well, I'm trying to defend giving a 1. I'm sort of so I only have to come up with a bit of not horrible state, but it's clear that in this tournament there is very little positive to say for him. I mean, you can see, well, you can say that he needed some warm up and he's getting it, but if I wasn't allowed to choose a 1, it would definitely be a 0. So it would be hard to me to say that I disagree massively with you two guys there.
Okay.
What about his motivation?
Jan, you should
The
guess
give
he's
numbers
one
don't
has one.
seem high. The numbers we gave him don't seem very high. I gave him a 2, and you gave even lower. I mean, once again, it's the debate how you define motivation. I think he's always motivated not to lose when he sits down at a chessboard. I don't think he's very motivated to win the event or to play chess, which of course I understand when it comes to going all out for victory. Of course, it's very low, but when it comes to trying to do better than this one and not be embarrassed, I would think he will be quite motivated not to leave a better impression than in Norway chess, let's say.
He already played a candidate where he didn't seem to care much. It was in London 2013.
He didn't seem to care much. There was a lot of pressure and expectations on him there, and he collapsed. That was my read on it.
I also disagree. I think, if anything, well, it was more like he was crumbling under pressure. That
Really?
he was mentioned as outside is a bit strong because Magnus and Liren and Aronian was there, right? But still,
But he was like 2,795 or something, no?
Exactly. I think that was a negative experience for him, no doubt, and such. I agree with Jan. I don't think he's sort of motivated to go all out and win. But I very much think he wants to do a decent performance. So I'm also in the 1 or 2 category by you. I think I have written a 2. And
I gave him
I
a
think
1
that
because
I
mean, he's not going to try to win at all. So I mean, like,
I think we basically seem to be in agreement there, right?
which is
Chances to win, we also seem to agree.
0.
Yeah, 0.
Zeros. Yeah.
It's hard
is
to picture, no? Like,
Somewhat insulting, but I think that's where we are. I don't expect him to be last in the tournament, but somehow that he's going to push to win, I don't see it, and he's the second lowest rated.
yeah,
And
also
also,
wouldn't
let's say-
expect him to be last. I think he'll do better than here. And that's also, with what Chicken have going for them, they tend to end closer to the middle of the table when things don't go so well, because you make more draws and you don't push for last
And
minute
also,
comebacks.
Radjabov has been around for a long time. We know who he are. Duda, for instance, he could be much stronger or much weaker than we know because he hasn't been there for so long in a way, so we could misevaluate him. I think with Radjabov, we have a pretty clear idea of his level, and it's good, but it's not enough to win, right?
I don't have a pretty clear idea of his level right now. It could also be
Fair
that
enough.
it's what he's showing now in Norway chess. It's not like he's played a lot of competitive chess the last 10 years.
Then he's not gonna win. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So chances to get the match. So we both, Jan and myself, gave him a 1, while PH gave him a 2. Why so high?
Also, we think he has 0 chances to win, so it's a bit of a hypothetical.
Yeah, it becomes a bit hypothetical. I generally stuck to that it's below average, but at least it will be a new opponent for Magnus, and also Magnus and Radjabov's dad are good friends and such, and they could hang out during the match and have a good time and such. So I decided to give it a 2. But
Yeah,
it
now
could be
again, I
close
mean,
to-
like that time not main difference with Duda. I don't think that Magnus thinks it will be an interesting challenge, and also it would be a very boring experience with Radjabov just trying to make a.
But
draw.
also, well, you're saying it will not be an interesting challenge, but you have to picture that comes after Radjabov having
but
perhaps crushed the candidates tournament.
no, maybe I,
mean,
think if he wins, he will win with +2 or +3. It's a good tiebreak.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's also
not
it becomes
exactly
strange debating the chance to get a match if we all agree that there is 0 chance to get the match, right? So I think it's fair enough that we can just. So Chickenness, I have given him a 4, which is his lowest score.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean,
He's a table
Yeah.
chicken. I mean, come on, he's.
Well, it
of course he's a
depends on
chicken.
your
I'm giving
definition.
him
On your definition of chicken in general, he seems happy to draw games. I don't think he gets very nervous under pressure,
No.
which I'm not sure if that's a factor in
mean-
chickenness. I think he's normally decent when he's in shape in Armageddons and so.
He did win the not the candidates, but the World Cup. I mean, it's not like he's giving draws when he's completely winning or such or something like that. I mean, he's very solid and might also try to force events at times and such. But to not give him full marks, I think is defendable. I did it a bit to differ with Laurent as well, I have to admit.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
I mean, it's clear that he's between 4 and 5 somewhere. But,
Yeah.
I mean, he has his good moments. I think a 4 can be defended at least.
Yeah, I don't think he's so afraid to play or to lose. It seems more like he doesn't really want to play if it's not needed. But I don't know him well, so who knows.
No,
No, but it's amazing
enough.
how he changed. Actually, I mean, like I know him since he's. We used to be teammates with Peter and him in the Now
that's
Chess
true.
Club, and he was kind of, I mean, checking King's Indian all day long, showing lines, and very, very enthusiastic, very aggressive, and
Under
very
the
interesting
patronage
player.
of
But it's amazing.
Igor Tough.
I think he changed that much. He just had this King's Indian image, but even then with White he had a lot of very quick draws in Vike and
That's
all these
true, but he had-
tournaments. He just played King's Indian, so people thought of him as a-
Sveshnikov, Kalashnikov, I mean, all this sharp stuff. I mean,
Yeah, but it was just openings, not attitude.
On that subject, openings. You guys are giving him a 2, I'm giving him a 3. I think, again, I'm giving him a 3 because I think it's average, while this one is actually above average. I think he has incredibly solid openings, that his openings choices are more or less the best. He's playing, Berlin and such. He plays good openings, and he's quite well prepared. It's not like there is a ton of surprising novelties and such, so I can very much defend the 2. But I don't think openings is particularly a weakness for him.
No, in general, I always thought that he might not like to play chess, but he's working on chess, and he was well prepared. But here, it doesn't look like it, and I don't think it's because he's hiding stuff for the candidates. He's still playing the Berlin. He just mixes up the move order on move 5, and all of these Italians, he gets confused out of the opening. It just doesn't seem like he's deeply into details there, and it doesn't seem like that's because he's hiding that he wants to play the Caruana in the candidates. It just seems like, he's not as well prepared as he used to there, so I gave him a 2.
Fair enough. I think, again, it's the Luan chose first, so I had to do something different factor, but fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with Jan.
Let's move on to Hikaru
impressive.
and Nakamura. And you guys have given him a 4 in current form, while I'm only a 3. So, well, you get the obvious one. Why is he the 4?
Yeah,
Well,
because
he hasn't played much, but when he played, he won, which is good.
yeah, and it seems that this training,
It's a good argument.
this online training he has is very good for him. He's playing like billions games online, and then he just comes to the Grand Prix and crush everyone.
Yeah.
So it's a good training for him, and he keeps on doing these streams and playing blitz and against strong players actually. So for him it just works. So I mean, if it works, then good for him, and it seems that his current form is quite good.
I gave him a 3, which is above average. Maybe my memory serves me wrong, but I thought that he was winning quite some of it in Rapid rather than Classical. But maybe it's just image. Maybe actually he won quite some Classical games, if I'm not mistaken there. No, so I understand 4 is as a possibility. Also, I mean, that it was a huge surprise, at least to me, that he managed to qualify. But he did that quite convincingly, and he sort of actually, on his own, by his own strength, took out Aronian, which is quite an achievement.
Yeah,
So again, as we speak, I end up agreeing with you guys. But I think he's sort of in the category between 3 and 4. He is good form, but also he got a wild card to get in because he was simply inactive. He hadn't played for more than 2 years, as far as I recall.
No, but yesterday I was on Twitter, as you probably maybe more than me. But yesterday I was on Twitter and I saw some random tweets. Hikaru Nakamura won the title Tuesday with 10 out of 11. Second place was Dubov with 9, and you see a list 20 Grandmasters. I mean, like, okay, it's always very strong events, so it shows some kind of form. I mean, it's like all the time you see this kind of tweet. Nakamura just won the title Tuesday or Rapid Tournament or whatever, but he keeps on winning many online tournaments, which is very impressive.
Okay. Motivation? There we actually have some disagreement. I'm still in the slightly positive.
Okay, we all disagree. I think this is the first time.
And Gusti, you have a 5. He's incredibly motivated. This you have to explain to us.
I would think it's such a great story for him. Like, he retires for 2 years, becomes a big Twitch streamer, then he qualifies for the candidates when everybody thought he was finished or many people maybe thought he was finished as a classical chess player, and now to be in the candidates and to potentially win it and get a match versus Magnus, what's a better driver for him? I think he'll be extremely motivated. Like, how that translates into work, of course he has distractions, but pure motivation, I would really think he's incredibly.
So what do you think is more important to him? Let's say if you give him the choice tomorrow between his streams and his chance to qualify. Let's say you choose tomorrow. Tomorrow nobody is watching you online, or you qualify for the match.
Well, let me jump in, because that's going to be my argument, and I gave him a 3. Well, also, he doesn't get that choice. If he does well, it will be good for his streams and such. But having said that, I mean, you can see that, he's saying that, I'm setting up my own channel who will do commentary on the candidates and such. I think his focus is split. While if all you thought is, I want to become the world champion in chess, and you actually believed you could do it, I think there might actually be silence, because you are so focused in a way. I think he's split there. I think there is a sort of quote that he's saying that his Twitch channel means more to him than becoming the world champion and such. Yeah, I still have him in 3 because I think he's motivated. I think he's going to come in good shape. He's going to come well prepared. But I still think there is some kind of split in his focus, while some of the others doesn't have this split in a way. So you can argue that he's successful in some other areas, and this means his focus is somewhat diverted, is my point of view. But
I would think he's a businessman. It would be clearly good for business if he had a world championship match. and I believe all his motivation will go there. I don't think the
Fair
channel during the tournament will be a distraction at all. But yeah,
Fair enough.
we'll see.
Chances to win?
So you gave him a
you
1.
guys have a-
Yeah, Peter.
I gave him a 1. You guys gave him a 2. I don't think he will win, but to be fair, I didn't think he would qualify either. So
Yeah.
I could have some kind of systemic error in his evaluation there.
He will take his chances. He's good in tiebreak. This time we should remind that there is possible tiebreak, rapid tiebreak, if people are tied for first place. So he's incredibly good in tiebreaks. So that's a plus for him. And well, he will take. I mean, he will go all in if needed. I mean, there is no worries about that.
To me, it's a bit connected to the motivation and also openings part, because he's a very strong player, but if he has one weakness, then it's openings, in particular with black against other very strong players, and I do think that these weaknesses are still there, even if you look at some of his recent online games in his Queen's Gambit declined and so on. Like, he has his lines, but he's often not into details, and if he can take time and fix those, I don't think chess-wise, and as I mentioned, motivation-wise, he's inferior to the others. But of course, it's a big if, because it's a problem that has followed him around, and he also doesn't have that much practice in classical. But I wouldn't rule him out if he makes it out of the opening, especially with black.
I gave him a 1. It could also be a 2. Again, he's in the lower part rating-wise. I don't think he's among the strongest player, but he could be. And he has a strong nervous system and such. And if he keeps his cool and he's in there with a chance, I mean, I'm not going to rule him out. So for me, it's also between 1 or 2. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he won, but I would be quite surprised in a way, no doubt about that.
Okay, so the next one is a funny one. I mean, this match could happen 10 years ago, but I mean, not 10 years ago, but something in that area, but would have been more logical, actually. But so chances to actually get that match against Magnus, I mean, to whom he has there is a war score, maybe not ever, but close to that. I don't know what's the score.
I will come out and say that I'm wrong. I have given it a 2, because that's just my generic thing. New opponent, not the top seed. It's probably unlikely Magnus will, but I guess I can see you have a 3 and a 4, and I guess your arguments will be that, there will be some online bullying, some rivalry, and Magnus will say, okay, I'm going to put this guy right. Something like that, right?
I would think a 4 is low. If Nakamura wins, there's zero chance Magnus is not playing
Really?
the match.
Wow.
It's too much fun. Sauron returning to keep Frodo down. Heck, it's gonna happen.
Who knows the score between them? It's 13-1 or something like that? Or what's the score? Something in that... yeah.
I have to admit that Nakamura was also close at some point. I remember I think they played in Switzerland, and Magnus was completely lost. And me and Henrik, we left the hotel to pick up Magnus after he had lost the game. But when we came there, he'd actually won. So,
of course, he got some many amazing positions, but yeah.
Magnus is better than everyone, but of course he's better than Hikaru as well. I understand that. But I think Gusti has a point. So, Magnus wriggling out of this one is not going to be that simple. Fair point. Yeah. No. Chickenness, Laurent is on 1 and me and Gusti on 2.
Yeah, I mean, he likes short draws, but I don't think it's because he's afraid. It's because he's pragmatic. No,
it's not.
I think you're right. He's actually pragmatic.
I gave him a 1 because his opening repertoire is a bit, Queen C2 Nimzo, Berlin, Queen's Gambit. I mean, it's really the chicken repertoire, yeah? I mean, if we do a video series about chessable course one day about chicken's repertoire, we just copy-paste Naka's repertoire and it's done, yeah? So
it's a good repertoire. I mean, just because you are brought up playing, I don't know, any kind of weird openings. I mean,
also Laurent is pretending like he plays the Kalashnikov and the King's Indian every game. Yeah, like
soon French League tomorrow. French League tomorrow. I will start the Kalashnikov. I will show you.
Don't give away his secrets. But actually, it's a good point that we have him. We have pretty low on Chickenness. That's is a bit too much hating. It's actually not really fair to him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a particular chicken.
No, he's not.
He's extremely pragmatic, but it's a bit different. I get the point. Fair enough. Openings. Laurent 3, Jan and Peter 2.
Yeah, he has good. I mean, as you said, he has good openings. He might not be into details, but what is good for him that it's not his first. Let's say, it's not his first candidate. He also has a massive experience in top tournaments, so he knows how to prepare. And I remember that a few years back, I would say around 2016-17, he was a tough guy to meet, Peter. If you remember, I mean, playing Naka was not especially good surprise for I mean, good news for us working on openings for Magnus. So.
No, I would say I have him a bit similar to Radjabov, that he has good defensive openings. He has healthy openings. They are difficult to break, but there's not a lot of sting with white. And, well, you need to get to a considerable plus score to win this event in a way. So, I mean, I think I gave him a 2 actually, and Luang a 3. I think he's sort of in between 2 and 3, but it's not that openings is not his strength, but they're no way nearly as bad as they were at some point, and he's improved it a lot. It's just not his natural element. I don't think he finds chess openings exciting like, for instance, me and Jan does by any chance.
Yeah, no.
But it's not too bad.
No, but
Jan, you can add a bit because.
Yeah, no, I disagree that his black repertoire is a strength and he doesn't have much punch with white. I think with white, at least results-wise, he might not get winning positions, but he's always been a very, very nasty 1 e4 player, and he can also play d4. While with black, I still think, until proven otherwise, that he's a target at this level, because he's not that flexible. He plays his Queen's Gambit declined lines and his Berlin. You also know exactly which line in the Nimzo he's going to play. Of course, he could change it all up or be so deep there, that doesn't matter. But yeah, I just want to get that in. I think with white he's fine, but with black there are issues.
So let's mention to the viewers that how you choose your ranking, your stars, Peter. So you see it's between 2 and 3, and you see I picked 3, so you are picking 2. Yeah, this is always the same story. Yeah? So next one.
Now we're going to Richard Rapport. The former Hungarian, now representing Romania, right? And his current form, me and Fres has him at Fres has him at 3, and me and Jan at 2.
Yeah, he played a lot. So his last tournament was not great, but generally speaking, he did very well in this Grand Prix, qualified from the Grand Prix. So you cannot judge by him not... Actually, it's what he explained. I mean, he didn't expect to qualify for the candidate, so he behaved. He planned his tournament as candidates will not happen for him. So I mean, it's difficult to judge by the guy playing too much, actually. I mean, he was just tired. So now he took some rest. I mean, he declined in the last minute Norway chess, which was, I think, a clever choice. And I think his current form is kind of good, because I was very impressed with him in Grand Prix.
And to be fair, I gave him a 2, but I had forgotten that he actually did pretty well in Wagense. He was number 2 after Magnus is not playing the candidates. There he was actually quite impressive. So 2 is a bit low. I think he's in the middle because as we mentioned, I think in the Grand Chess Tour he was quite disappointing in a way. But he's a player that somehow it's difficult to measure for me in a way. Maybe easier for you, Jan, or not really?
Feels like he's a bit on and off. I would guess he's also sort of dependent on his mood. If things are going well, he can be an absolutely amazing player. He might get a little down on himself if things aren't going so well. Basically, I thought his current form and his very latest classical tournament was very bad. So I gave him low marks. But before that, of course, he had a great stretch. Established himself as a top 10, even at some point. He was, I think, top 5 player. So he's good, but recently, well, he didn't do so well.
And the next one, we have an oddity in motivation. We all agree he's a 2.
Yeah, because he's always, he's lacking this killer instinct and this huge motivation to become world champion. But yeah, of course, he always wants to do well. So
Why is he not a 1? I'm starting to think. I mean, he's even publicly said that he's not that motivated in a way.
From
right?
what
he doesn't like to play chess.
Yeah, but from what he says and what he shows, it's a different story, actually. I mean, he's showing much better results. And if you listen to his interview, you think he's like 2650 at best. But actually, he's a really, really strong player. So we should be careful with his interview. I mean, he's always very, very pessimistic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's how he feels. It's not just his interviews, also how he talks in general. I need a break. I don't want to play. I won't do well. But when he sits down at a chessboard, I do think he's very motivated. Like, if he wants to be there, it's a different story. But it's the same for us chickens in a way. No, we hate that we have to play chess, but we'll still do our best. Like, which is Rapport's best, obviously, is much better than most other.
And that comes to chances to win. Me and Laurent has it at 1, but I'm starting to agree with Jan, who actually gives him a 2. So
just think, if he has a good start, he's an amazing talent. He's a bit different to everybody else, and if things start going his way, then I could see it happening. Of course, he's not a favorite.
I think he will lose. He will lose few games for sure. His openings are way too weak. He will get caught a couple of times at the very best for him. Let's say. In the openings, I mean, he's just and he doesn't know how to. I don't think he did build the team, or he did some serious preparation for the event. So I'm really afraid for him about that, and I think he will lose some games. And when you lose games, that's the problem. You have to get to +3 at least. So you have to win 5 games or something. I mean, I don't think this is going to happen.
You are, as far as I understand, you are great friends with him for a long time and such, right?
Yes, that's why I know. I mean, I know he's not.
Well,
yeah, no, I mean, I really like the guy, but I mean, he was asking me to. I was helping him. I was checking Budapest Gambit, so I was telling him, okay, it doesn't work, but still, I mean, keep on checking it, and make it not losing immediately. Yeah, that was the task. So.
No. I mean, I don't rate his chances highly either, but I'm quite open to that I could completely misunderstand how good he is. I mean, for instance, in Wijk and in the FIDE Grand Prix, he showed very high level at times. So
also, I don't think he lost a lot of games there. I agree, he could be a target in the opening, but it's also unpleasant to play him if you don't know what you're gonna get. No, like, and then E4, Knight C6, D4, D5, E5, Bishop F5. Okay, it'll be worse, but maybe he'll win some games. He'll go F6, Queen D7, long castles. Like, I don't know. I just feel there's more variance in his play, which should be good for his chances to finish first. But I can hear Laurent's point. He's not used.
Yeah, no, I just don't think. I mean, what you mentioned, this kind of openings, I just don't think it works against people like Fabi, Alireza, or Ding. I mean, you get punished for that.
I think that you are most likely, right?
Thank you.
Chances to get the match. Well, again, Laurent is a 1, Jan and Peter 2. Laurent?
Yeah, I don't think it would be interesting for Magnus. So, I mean, like, he doesn't think it's interesting for him to play against Ricci. So, yeah, why would it change his mind? Okay, he's from the he's almost from the next generation. He's born in 96. So you could argue that he's from the next generation, but still, I mean.
I think actually I side with you here, Laurent. I mean, with Naka, he would provoke Magnus into playing. I think Richard wouldn't, and somehow,
No, I think
quietly come to an end there.
I think you guys are right, but Magnus would be happy to play. Richie would just say, nah, it's too much stress. I need a break. Maybe next time.
maybe you're saying that Richard wouldn't show up. That's interesting.
No, also they are quite. I mean, they wouldn't.
Fair enough.
No trash talking. They are quite friendly. I mean, we invited him to play some training games before the match with Kayakin. So it was. I think they are quite friendly even now.
Bahamas, right?
In Bahamas, where actually it was. It was a bit weird training to play a match against Kayakin, to play some games with Richie, because it was very interesting games, but I mean, completely different style. Yeah. So
it was very nice in many ways.
Yeah.
I remember some blindfold games as well.
Yes, blindfold games.
So, anyway, chickenness. There again we have complete disagreement. Jan doesn't think he's a chicken at all, and I think he's quite a chicken.
Yeah, I think.
Why did
So I will explain my point. It's what you told me the other day. You say you are not a chicken, you are just lazy. And I think this is exactly the case for Richie. I mean, he's not a chicken. I mean, to play these openings, you don't. I mean, you cannot be a chicken, but he's just lazy at times and going for some doors. And
I have written a 1. I have absolutely no idea why. I cannot defend that point.
No, you wrote
Richie
a
is
3.
not a...
I wrote a 1.
No,
no,
I
sorry.
wrote a 3.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. It makes no sense. I have written a 1. I apologize.
I don't know.
can
I
defend
think
this
in
three.
general he doesn't want to play chess, which is a big
Yeah,
factor
there
of
is a bit of
chickenness.
that, maybe.
He doesn't have the typical chicken openings where you work hard on forcing a draw, but I think he can still be chicken in his own way, although he's of course a very entertaining player. But I think he can get a little down on himself and then be happy with
No, but also,
making it
I
short.
think when
I'm
I
not
wrote
sure
the
about
1, I was thinking about how he qualified, where he actually took risk in a winning position. I must have meant 4 instead of 1. I think I just got the numbers reversed in my head. You remember how he qualified against Andreikin? He actually was gambling in the end, sort of not to get it to a playoff, but trying to win in classical chess and such. And he was prouding himself of taking risk at the right time. So, no, he's not a chicken.
So you should give him a 1 or
So
0.
you stick with the 1?
So you stick with the 1.
Peter confused himself.
Yeah.
I have confused myself.
Yeah.
I would
So you
just,
stick with the 1.
So
So he's not a chicken.
fair enough. I actually stick to moving on with openings because I don't like being sort of confused anymore.
Sorry.
So,
I mean,
yeah, no, that's okay. Openings, Laurent 1, Jan 2, PH 3. Well, I think he's improved massively, to be honest. It's a bit like with Duda. His opening used to be bad. They're not so bad anymore and putting in work. I mean, for instance, he's been playing the Queen C2 Nimsa with Bishop G5 and getting some successes there. It's not like you think, I'm playing Rapport. It's just going to be a walk in the park in the opening anymore.
I mean, like, what
Yeah,
is he playing?
slightly.
I remember this 97 in Berlin. I mean, it's always picking up some random lines as black, which are generally not very good. So I don't know. I stick
you
with
played
my
that?
1. I mean,
not that night. You mean it's 4D3 97? Sure, but it's not that bad.
It's also not that good.
yeah.
Okay.
No,
Jan?
also I think his openings became a little more mainstream, but I would still call them a weakness. Also playing Queen C2 Nimzo every game and these positions he played, I mean, if you check them with a strong engine, and I'm not sure this is a strength. He's become a little more mainstream, and he clearly worked on some stuff, but it still feels like it's a weakness.
And also, I think he was not expecting to qualify for candidates. So I don't think he will have a proper team working for him. So, yeah, that's a problem as well.
Okay. Fair enough. Halfway, we are getting to the 4 highest rated players. The former challenger, Nepomniatchtchi, is the next. And current form?
It was not great.
Laurent has him at 2. I have him at 3. And Jan just decided not to vote.
There's a 3 in my document. I think it's you who didn't vote.
I haven't refreshed my... Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So I gave him a 2 because, last time he played in Classical was a match, of course, and also in this Grand Chess 2, where he did poorly, lost rating in both cases. So, I mean, I don't see how you... why it would be a 3? Why it would be that high?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I try to price in, I'm not sure it belongs in current form, that he still has this half year of work from the World Championship match, which might have made him a better player midterm. Sometimes it takes a while until this work pays off, and I think it could be around now, but it's speculation. His latest results have been great, so I agree with it.
I think I agree with both. I also ended up on a 3, but it could just as well have been a 2. Both the match and such was not that well, but you tend to get this boost afterwards to some extent. And I think he's going to be very happy. He's not going to play Magnus every day or not at all, and that's things are going to feel a bit easier than they did in the match for him. One can hope, at least in a way. So
Yeah.
I think so.
So motivation, we
What-
again disagree. We gave him a 3 with Jan, while Peter gave him only a 2.
Yeah, he just played a World Championship match. It wasn't an amazing experience for him. It was, well, he ended up on -4. He had to prepare incredibly hard, which is not his natural element and such. So I think it will be in the back of his head that, well, I have done that. It's not something I necessarily want to do again, not right away. So
I don't think he's not that.
compared to everyone else, I see it like that.
I disagree. I think he's not that kind of guy.
Okay.
He said that he had mainly, I mean, that the loss in the match, he had some strange declaration that it was not much, didn't have much to do with chess. It was about psychology, and it just collapsed. Which I think it's both, actually. I mean, Magnus is just a much better player, and also Nepo collapsed at some point in the match. But so he has no doubt for him that he has the level of a challenger for the title. So I think he's not afraid to play another match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. I would think it can be very motivating that he wants to come back and get there again, and especially now, if there's no Magnus waiting as the end boss, he's a confident guy, rate his chances to become world champion quite highly. I can't really tell how much of a toll such a match leaves. We'll get to Caruana soon, who talked about, he wasn't motivated for whatever, a year and a half after the match versus Magnus. Also, there's many cases in history they talk of Botvinnik having a heavy hand where someone loses a match and they need a while to get back to normal. I can't really say. It could go either way, but I would think that he'll be very motivated to get back.
Okay.
So, chances to win is the next category. I was the most pessimistic with 1, while Jan gave a 3, Peter gave a 2, so I will say why I'm pessimistic. For what we discussed before, I think his current form is quite poor. His motivation will be okay, but also it's a very long tournament, and I mean, in the past, the only long tournament he won was in 2 parts. I mean, it was during this pandemic. These candidates which stopped after 7 rounds. I think if the tournament, I think we agreed that if the tournament would continue, this candidate tournament, he probably would not win. So that's why I think the tournament is too long for him, and there is too many ways to collapse, to lose a game, and to get hungry at himself and just lose. I mean, like lose a couple of games in a row or something like that.
I gave him a 2. Well, as we will see, I have like different categories, and well, he's still of the players we have spoken about yet. He's the one I give the most chances, but well, I think he's weaker than the 3 others we're going to speak of next. But he has been there before, he's done it, and that means that, well, I give it some more likeliness. Also, should he get into a tense situation, it's going to help him. He's been there before and such. But I think there's 3 players that are stronger than him, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I'm somewhere in the middle. I do think his World Championship prep could still be an asset, as could this experience be, and also I guess he got into shape also physically for the World Championship, in particular to prepare for a longer event, which has been his weakness in the past. But I also agree he doesn't have the track record in these long things, and especially fighting back after a loss, which is very likely to happen at some point. But I do rate him very highly as a player when in shape and when he can avoid these simple blunders, like we could see first 6 games against Magnus. He was, just playing at the same level. So yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure, but I thought it was surprising that people rate his chances so much lower than Ding, Fabi, and Alireza. Also bookies, not just
Yeah, let's see.
We disagree,
So
fair
chances to
enough.
get the match,
No.
we all agree it's very
There
poor.
if anything, we have all given him a 1. I might go to a 0 for all the say, but I mean, Magnus has just played him. He won with +4. It makes no sense.
That would also exactly fit Magnus's story that he doesn't enjoy the process. He has nothing to prove against Nepomniatchtchi.
No.
So yeah, that's
that's
great.
a very
I think we are closer to a 0 than.
I mean the one is if Magnus wants to keep his title for 2 more years. I mean, which is
maybe we have just exactly. I think that's what justifies the one that he's actually just changed his mind.
Yeah.
But I think in Nepom is the least likely of all the guys.
Yeah, I think
probably.
I agree.
And we keep agreeing on Chickenness. We have him of 2.
Yeah.
We need a more specific definition of chickenness. I don't think he's afraid to lose, but he doesn't mind the occasional quick draw if it fits his needs, and he's not very resilient when it comes to dealing with setbacks or with losses. I'm not sure if that's a chickenness factor, but there are, of course, some psychological weaknesses or have been in the past.
I think he's neither here nor there, but a bit less than of a chicken than average. He's not afraid to play chess and so.
No, exactly.
Yeah, but now it changed. I mean, like I gave him a 2 if it would be his old opening repertoire, but now he changed his opening repertoire to World Championship match, let's say, standard, and it became, I mean, like this Catalan stuff, for instance, which he played against Wesley. So, I mean, he's really trying to force a draw from the opening.
But now again, you start just because people play good openings, they're not necessarily chickens. They're just playing good openings.
I mean, he's playing this pound down stuff, which we saw is not. It's doable, of course, but we already discussed.
I think that's trying to play high level rather than to play being a chicken. But I don't know. But we can talk about his openings because there at least we disagree some more. Laurent, you simply think his openings are top-notch, a 5?
I mean, like he prepared with a professional team for 6 months, so I think it was good. He showed some great stuff in. He confused the move order in Petrov, but in one game. But overall, I think it was good. It was very good. I mean, the level of his prep in the match. So I think it's really one of the top-notch opening specialists these days.
I disagree the most. I have him at a 3, so I will go first.
Yeah.
I mean, again, 3 is still above average. I think he had pretty good prep for the match, but mainly in a defensive way, I would say. That it's very difficult to get to him, but it lacks the aggressiveness and to some extent also the surprise. I mean, for me, it seemed like, we have a Russian supercomputer, we're going to map out chess and find the best moves, but there's not that much sort of psychological aggressiveness of really surprising the opponents and such. I think basically he was saying, these are good moves, I'm going to play them, and if they're good moves, Magnus can't do much. I agree, he's improved a lot in this area. He has pretty good above average, but I don't think it's spectacular. I don't know if anyone has spectacular openings.
Yeah, maybe a 5 was too much because I think another guy we will see later.
So the voice of reason, Jan?
No, I agree with both. I don't think openings are his natural habitat. Like in his free time, I don't think he's sitting there clicking in some lines, but he's put in all the time preparing for this match. I think for a 5 he would also have to show that he can play d4 and e4, be more unpredictable, while historically he's much more of an e4 and sometimes c4, g3 player, which he also did in the match. And I wasn't sure, which Peter mentioned as well, if his openings, first of all, match his style and then also match a candidates tournament, because they were more defensive tight against Magnus, which makes a lot of sense, and you could argue is a high level. But yeah, I think he's very good. He has the work. He probably still has stuff lying around.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would still give at least Fabi a higher mark.
Yeah, no, I agree. I give him a 4.
I will also say that I agree with Jan, but I will still add that I think I'm a bit more right than Fres here.
No, I agree. I give him a 4. Okay, he has not. Okay, while we didn't see, we only saw his prep against one e5 in the match, which is kind of the main thing you should prepare when you are preparing for a World Championship match. But still, yeah, I mean, it lacked surprise, yeah, that's for sure.
Current form, we have
So Fabi,
me and Laurent is exactly. We're talking about Fabiano Caruana now.
who is not anymore. Yeah.
Oh, he's only the third by rating
which is,
now,
sounds
but
weird.
the 2018 challenger. What did you give him, Jan?
I think a 3, because I don't have a clue. I haven't seen him play that much. In Vike, he didn't do great, but he also didn't do poorly. It looked like things didn't go well for him, but his level still carried him to more or less decent results. These online things, I never know how much to read into. So I don't know, but my hunch is that he will be, sitting somewhere preparing seriously.
Fabi looked like he was Fabi, and that's pretty good, right? Something like that. Nothing spectacular, but nothing too worrying either, in a way.
Yeah.
When we come to motivations, Laurent has him at a full 5.
Yeah, I think it's one of the. I mean, he's getting to 30, I think. Or he already turned 30. So he understands. He already played a match. He lost that match. It was very close to Magnus in 2018. So it's one of his last chance. And, he understands he has a chance to win. And look, he didn't play since Wijk. So he will be fully motivated, fully prepared. I'm sure his motivation is just perfect.
Okay. Jan?
I can't really judge because you hear different things. That, I think he himself said he just couldn't look at chess for, I don't know, maybe 2 years after the 2018 match. Then the pandemic, you heard that he wasn't really motivated to do stuff since he was sitting at home. I would guess that has changed and that he will take this one extremely seriously. But it's hard for me to say. I don't know about his structure with Kazim out of the picture. I feel like sometimes he will probably need someone who's there to push him a bit because he's also comfortable doing other stuff. I don't know. I think I gave him a high marker, 4, because
You gave him a 4, so did I.
He will be very motivated, but I really don't have much of a read there.
I think he will be extremely motivated as well. 4 is a high score. I mean, he's been there before. It might detract a bit. Of course, he was incredibly close, didn't get there. That could motivate, but he could also feel that he had done so much hard work, and then, not much came of it anyway. And while we all say it's close, what people remember is that he lost and such. I think he's going to be very motivated, but not to the completely insane level that a 5 would indicate. But I think we are also more or less in the same ballpark, right? I mean, I would be closer to a 5 than a 3, no doubt. So I think we kind of agree there.
So let's go to the chances to win, where we just fully agree
all on 4.
4.
Yeah,
he's not the top-notch favorite according to us, but
almost.
Very, very close. Yeah, of course.
Okay, we'll can talk about this more with the other candidates. I think pretty much everyone agrees. Caruana, Firouzja, and Ding are the favorites, and on a similar level of being favorites, so they're the numbers.
I slightly disagree.
I'm not sure. We can get to that later. But Fabi's been there. We all know he has the level, and if he has the motivation, the prep, things go slightly his way. Of course, he's one of the favorites.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, his chess qualities is there. There's no doubt and such. He has, he's more or less the full package, right? There are just other good guys as well. Chances to get the match, we actually quite disagree. So let's start from the most optimistic. That will be Laurent.
Yeah, because Caruana has always been a tough opponent for Magnus, even if Magnus has a good score. But the match was very close, actually. That's what makes me think that could be an interesting match. Also, at some point, he was the only one to really threaten Magnus for the number 1 spot in the world. I mean, there were like 2 points difference before the match, or 3 points. So he was always the most threatening, and Magnus said many times that he was the most dangerous opponent and so on. So he respects him. In the last match, it was 12 draws. So Magnus might be tempted to show that he can do better against that particular opponent.
No, I disagree. I think that stands exactly for what Magnus dislikes about World Championship matches. Of course, Fabi is good and a threatening opponent, but I don't think that means that Magnus will think, oh, this is great. I must do this again. Try to prepare against a super solid repertoire. Think about what to do against Fabry for a long time. I would think it's the same argument as with Nepomniatchtchi. He's been there, done that, defended his title. It's very much a representative of the old/his generation. And I would be very surprised if Magnus said yes.
Yeah, I think Jan took the words out of my mouth. I mean, been there, done that. Of course, he would have liked to won against him in a more convincing fashion, but he has beaten him, and all this effort to do what you already have done once, I would be surprised. I think me and Jan agrees. Just I have rated it as a 1, Jan as a 2, but I think that's more or less it. But I get Laurent's point. I just don't think they're right in this particular case. But that's
Why is this particular?
fair enough. Okay, chickenness, Laurent. You think there is 0 chicken in Caruana?
I think he's over pushing. He's the same as Duda for me. He's over pushing. I mean, he's over pressing all the time. I mean, taking some crazy risk to try to win games. And well, it's just okay. Then you may say Petrov Queen's Gambit decline. Okay, that's fair enough. But that's just good openings, yeah, as you mentioned previously. But in his play, I mean, he's never chickening out, and on the contrary, actually, I think he's just over-pressing, taking some crazy risk on a regular basis. So, yeah, it's not a chicken at all.
I don't know. I think stylistically, Laurent is right that his style is very calculation and complications heavy, and he also feels that's where he has an edge. The more complicated it gets, and the more he keeps pushing. No, I generally agree with Laurent, but he's also pragmatic. He's not always super motivated. And you can tell in these rapid events if things don't go his way, he sort of gives up. He's not like relentless. Every time I'm at a chessboard, I have to do my very best. But yeah, he's not afraid to play, that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't count that online tournaments, which are very special to me. But
I have given him a 1. That's already a good score. Maybe just... well, I'm more positive towards chicken, so I don't want to offend him and give him a 0. But of course, he's extremely courageous and such, no doubt. I think we are basically in agreement here. There's not much.
And we are almost in agreement for the last category, which is openings. We gave him a 5 with Jan because, well, the guy is really, really tough. And PH gave him a 4. And I think, with Jan and myself, we think he has by far the best openings in the tournament, right?
I think he's the best theoretician in the field, and he's also the most flexible. Like, you don't know what to expect. I don't know if he's going to play Berlin, or if he is going to play open Spanish, or prepare some random sideline in the Spanish, or come with the Knight all of a sudden. I have no clue. And that makes him special, that he's completely unpredictable. With white, he can do anything. Yeah. And he's one of the very few, maybe the only one, where you could see him just winning a game by prep. Like, he has so many nasty ideas in main lines with white. So, I don't think there's anybody better than him here.
I agree that if I couldn't choose a 4, it would be a 5. I mean, well, 5 is close to perfection. That requires really a lot, and I didn't get him quite there, but he could have been. Again, it's a bit boring, but I think basically we agree. Also, we've known Fabiano for a long time, and he's very impressive, and I very much agree with that. He's broad, so he has a surprise. I mean, you don't know really what is coming. That's, of course, what we try to achieve with Magnus as well, that you're capable of doing everything. And, I mean, a black game with Fabiano is not a fun experience because you can be hit so many places and such. And,
especially if you keep playing the Sveshnikov.
Exactly, let's go down memory road another time. Because now we are coming to... Well, to be fair, this has just been a filler for Laurent. Now the real action starts. Alireza, Firouzja,
I thought we would do a bonus episode for Alireza, so we should do him last.
Oh.
So first thing.
Okay.
Okay.
We're not going by rating?
It's our producer. Our producer told us that it will be a bonus episode for Alireza.
Okay.
But so...
Me and Jan would like to note that we disagree.
We disagree.
Go on. So we go to Ding Liren instead. So, current form.
I think it...
Laurent, you say Ding is an incredible
I mean, like, try to play every day against these Chinese guys without losing a game. And well, okay, then we talk again. I mean, it was amazing what he did actually, like to play every single day, to make these 30 games and to be able to replace Kayakin. We will. So he got qualified by rating because Kayakin goes disqualified. And well, that was just amazing actually. I mean, without losing a game, winning some rating, I thought. Such just physically, I mean, it's just well, very impressive.
Well, I only gave him a 4 because I think it's more about Ding being good rather than being in good shape. But of course, he is both. But well, just 5 is like you are performing out of this world. I think the guy you will do a bonus episode about, at some point, his form was incredible. Maybe it's not anymore, but let's not debate that now. But
I don't know. I mean, the number of games did impress me. I mean, it's out of this world, yeah, to be able to play every single day. I mean, who did that in the last 10 years to play every single day, to perform at 2850 or something like that?
I think we disagree, but let's get Jan to make the decisive vote then. Democracy.
Yeah, I don't have strong opinions. I agree. Like, I don't know enough about these tournaments he played in China, where this 4-player round robin, where every game that didn't involve Ding was a draw. I don't know enough about how things went down there, but his sporting achievement and the games I've seen did look very impressive. He also won the last episode of the last, what was it, the Champions Chess Tour? No, the last tournament.
No, he
probably Milton.
Yeah, he beat Magnus. Sure.
Yeah. He beat Magnus and Pragnananda in the
final. Yeah, won the final against Pragnananda. So he looked pretty good there. Also playing in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So he looks good, but yeah, he hasn't played chess for 2 years, and then he had this sort of strange run, 30 games in 30 days and so on. No, he's a great player. What is there to say?
Yeah.
So let's go to motivation.
Motivation.
So we all agree.
We all give him full marks. Yeah. Wow. I was a bit in doubt if he's just very motivated or incredibly motivated, but it seemed like we all go for incredibly motivated, right?
Yeah, because it's just...
I don't have a clue, really, but yeah, I would guess he is.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play for 2 years.
Ding is just...
I think it was always his dream to qualify for the match, and he got an unexpected chance, actually, and he went all the way, organized his tournament in no time, play every day, and, well...
I think we give him credit for just playing chess non-stops in order to fulfill some... formal things, right? But also, I mean, why wouldn't he be in a way, right? But I think we are guessing because we don't really know. But our guess is that he must be incredibly motivated.
Yep.
Chances to win? Again, Laurent is just throwing out 5s like it's an...
I think he's a favorite, actually. I mean, he's for me, he's a clear favorite because he got this... I will maybe remind you this Denmark 92, and he gets this unexpected... chance. I mean, like few months before. I mean, like in January, it looked like okay, he was not going to play the next year or something, and suddenly he gets this chance, this unexpected chance, and I think from a psychological point of view, it's just a free roll, and you feel like so he gets this boost of energy, which I think is very, very positive, and that's why, in my opinion, is clear favorite. But not like I mean, he has less one. I mean, like okay, he has more chances than Firouzja or Caruana, but I think he has better chances.
For me, he's the favorite, and it's very simple. I think he's the best player. Caruana might be the best sporting character, so I mean, Caruana is a few % behind, but well, Ding is just a bit higher, so I give him a 4.
I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind between Ding, Fabi, and Alireza, but I don't see a reason to rate Ding higher than Fabi, like historically, rating-wise, results-wise, motivation-wise. So I don't see any reason to give him a higher mark than Caruana in that one. Like, you could debate who the favorite is. I think with the bookmarkers, they're all very close, which is fine. But yeah, Ding historically hasn't shown that he's a better player than Caruana.
And you don't think that it's luck involved in qualifying in the last minute? Just play some kind of tricks?
I mean, you can say Maxim also got close and such. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. He can play, played very well.
One thing you can hold against him is that he has not. I mean, he doesn't have that much experience in candidates, and when he did, things didn't go that much his way. So maybe he hasn't proven himself in this career at stake situations yet. Perhaps I think he will do fine, but we don't have evidence for that. That's maybe the only thing I can come that sort of draws him down a bit.
He did fine in 2018, was it? But didn't really come close.
Yeah,
to,
no, that's a yeah.
No,
to
he
win
had a
the
couple
thing,
percent chance before the last round.
Yeah.
I understand, but
No,
fair enough.
hard
Chances
to say.
to get the match against Magnus?
I think he has the best. So I gave him a 4, you gave him a 3. I mean, yeah, I think he has the best chance, except of just hide behind Alireza, because I mean Magnus respects him a lot as a person and as a chess player. So he never played him. He's slightly younger than Magnus. So that would be a bit. I mean,
would feel a bit impolite.
Exactly.
To say no
I mean, and Ding is so polite that you don't feel like being impolite to Ding actually. I mean, you can be impolite to Naka. I mean, you don't care so much or Giri, but to Ding it feels wrong.
I wouldn't start tweeting against Ding.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't feel right. I mean,
Wow.
it's not how.
Favoritism. No, I sort of agree, and there's certainly the factor he hasn't played a match against him yet, which we used against Fabi and Nepomniatchtchi. He's still very much a representative of the old generation, where Magnus has said, at least in his first statement, he wants to play against the new generation if he does play. And I disagree with Laurent's key point that Magnus thinks he's a great player. I don't think that means if Magnus thinks, yay, this is a tough opponent, I can think for a year what to do against Ding. I don't think that's what he is looking for. But I do rate his chances higher than Nepomniatchtchi and Fabi.
No, I don't.
I think we agree.
Can I disagree? Just 1 minute.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think that it will be interesting for Magnus to think what I'm going to do, but just the games in themselves during the match will be interesting because he's a tough player, simply. And that could.
But his core argument is that these World Championship matches are too stressful, and he doesn't enjoy the process of playing every day against a tough player. No, so I think. Yeah, this guy is tough. I'm not sure if that's that will be driving force for him, but I don't know.
I mean,
Fair enough.
I think it was more about not enjoying the process of preparing and so on. Process of playing? Did he say that? I mean, like it's different, yeah? I mean, the process of playing and the process of preparing. Of course, preparing.
It's the full package to some extent. I mean, yeah, if he knew that they would start the match tomorrow, maybe it would feel easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know exactly. Yeah. Chickenness? Well, Ding not a chicken. He's got a 1, but a bit of healthy caution at times, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, he's a serious professional, but his tendencies were normally to push too hard instead of backing down. So.
I mean, even when he plays Magnus, he just plays his normal chess. It's not like he thinks, I'm playing someone who's maybe the only guy in the world who's better than me. I'm gonna be more. No, he just plays chess.
I think he's gotten.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, good.
Please.
No, I think he's gotten, at least from his latest rapid matches, very good at damage control, that he will find a way to be practical if he's worse, to keep problems, and he will go for a draw if the position demands. But that doesn't mean he's chicken.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, he's not over-pressing as some other players are doing regularly, like Duda or Fabi, but he's just playing the position. So 1 is fair, yeah.
Fair enough. The last category for the whole show is openings. Laurent is 4, I'm 3. Jan?
Why for the whole show? We're doing Alireza. No,
we're doing Alireza. He will just
chase away all the listeners.
Our producer will just cut it, I think. But
okay, my apologies.
So
openings.
I was the only one to fill in. I cannot see your.
Oh.
So what did you put?
I'll give him a 4.
Yeah,
I think he's good, and I think he's steadily improved. I think it was a weakness some time ago, but I do think it's a bit different. I'm not sure how much he relies on a big team, but it looks like he enjoys working on openings and he spends a lot of time clicking in his stuff from what I hear. No, I think he's good, but he's not Fabi level good that he can have an idea in 1 e4, 1 d4, 1 c4 and crush you with it. That's less likely.
And I agree with exactly that point. And as I gave Fabi a 4, I have to give Ding a 3. Ding is definitely above average, but he's a bit more limited than Fabi in the sense that with Ding you have a better idea what's coming. It's gonna be the Catalan or it's gonna be the English. It's gonna be the Berlin or it's gonna be the Marshall, something like that. He's a bit more confined, while Fabi is broader. I mean, well, Ding might not need to have excellent preparation because he just needs to get his slide edge and will work with that and do it brilliantly. But no, I think, well, he's great and he's very difficult to get at. But Fabi, I think Fabi can use it more to his own advantage, while Ding will have to win over the board, which he's incredibly capable of. That's how I see it.
Yeah, okay. No, it's the same argument I made for Nepomniatchtchi. Fabi, he doesn't have a big track record as a 1 e4 player, and to get top marks there, I think with white you need to be able to do everything.
Yeah, so we can.
And his openings are very serious. I mean, it's not like Magnus that will do something for a joke. So I mean, Ding just plays very good, incredibly healthy chess, is my impression. So,
yeah, Magnus is joking in online events. I mean, it's not generally takes it more seriously when it comes to classical. Let's face it.
Let's see. Yes. Okay, that goes for the 7 persons. Now we're gonna do the Alireza of all episodes and talk about Alireza, right? So, Laurent, well, he's French. You have the honors.
Yeah, so my French brother is here. So, of course, he was a sensation. I mean, he's a sensation in the chess world for the last couple of years, I would say. Only 18 years old. He will turn 19 during the tournament, actually. So yeah, it will be incredibly interesting to watch for the world in general and for the French people in particular, I would say. He's been preparing. I guess he has played a tournament recently, but so the last he qualified from the Grand Swiss where he made an incredible performance, and he played this European Championship, which finished right before the World Championship match started, and he became number 2 in the world, which was amazing. And Magnus pointed, I mean, like he clearly said that he would be interested in playing only against Alireza in a match. So that made him as even more as a under the lights.
This was a great commercial. Can you talk about his form?
So his form is hard to say. He didn't play. He played only 1 tournament since the European, which was pretty poor. So, well, I don't think it's great. I gave him a 3.
Yeah. I also gave him a 3. It feels high, actually. He did badly in whatever was this super bet, and he hasn't played the half year before.
Yeah.
So I'm changing to 2.
Yeah, I gave him a 2, and it's also like maybe it's unfair because expectations were so high, but he played so incredibly well during this run, and then suddenly we thought the last time, and wow, maybe he's not as good as we thought. Well, this we're gonna find out in the candidates, but at least for me, it put doubt in my mind that okay, we have seen his high level, now we have seen his lower level, and that wasn't as good, and that meant that his shape is not that impressive in a way.
That's it.
Motivation? Well, you guys are up there, I can see.
Yeah, we gave him a 5 while you gave him a 4. I mean, he can make history, and he understands perfectly all that, I think. So I think he's incredibly motivated, and only thinks about that, actually, since he qualified in the Grand Swiss.
Yeah, agree. We don't have the category experience. That's something he lacks. So I'm not sure if this incredible motivation and focus will only be a good thing. Because also historically in the candidates, normally you had to play at least once to reach the mountaintop. But you could argue if he's a Kasparov, a Carlsen on that level, these guys did it at the first attempt. And if he's that special, maybe nothing matters and he just crushes everyone. I have my doubts, but I don't know. We don't have the same track record over years from Fabi and Ding, because he's much younger. He's improved quickly. He hasn't won a lot of super tournaments yet, but this could just be the start. I don't know.
I think he's gonna be very motivated, so I gave him a 4, but not a 5 like you guys. I mean, 5, I think, takes something extraordinary. And well, I will remember, for instance, the 2007 World Championship. I was there with Vichy for the 8-player tournament, and well, he didn't win it in 2005. It starts getting in the latter part of the career. You really feel you should become the world champion, but you didn't really manage the way it was. And I think there, you sometimes reach a level where you just give everything that's left in the tank. It's not like you don't care about what happens afterwards. This is sort of maybe the last moment that really matters. I don't think Firouzja is there. He is completely aware that there's going to be a long chess life for him afterwards. And that's why I only give him a 4. Maybe he lacks, as Jan would say, sort of experience, or maybe the maturity that you understand. What I have done before was great. Now I'm going to take it to the next level. But I'm at 4, which is already a very high score. So
I disagree with your stuff. It's not like you think that Carlsen or Kasparov, they thought, maybe if I don't win that one, I will play the next one. I mean, it's now. I mean, it's not later. It's now. So
yeah, but that's Carlsen. But with Anand, I mean, at that point, he has been the best player maybe in the world for quite a while, but things didn't really...
Yeah, I understand, but I don't...
the way it was. Then you find something extra, and I don't think Firouzja is at the place where he will find 100%
I don't think
of his
you
resources.
can compare Anand and Carlsen and Firouzja. I think that Firouzja is more like Carlsen. Like, it's now. It's not later. I'm going to be watching him now, and not in 5 years or something.
But I think it was the same for Vichy, no? He also beat Karpov in whenever it was 91, 92. And I'm pretty sure he didn't think, I can be world champion in 10 years. Then he thought, I'll crush the guy now.
I understand. I'm just saying that sometimes you find a little bit extra in a way, but I don't know.
Okay, I will give him a 6 for motivation. Is that possible?
Okay.
It's a French privilege.
Sure. Frenchness. He is French. Yeah.
We should have Frenchness as a category. What would he give him there?
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, no, not so good.
Laurent is more French.
more French than Alireza, that's for sure.
Okay, fair enough. He did actually move to France to improve his career. That is motivation. Yeah. Anyway, chances to win.
I'm actually living to
PH
Chartres.
has him at 3.
He's living in Chartres.
Okay. I give him a 3, Laurent a 4. What about you, Jan?
I gave him a 4. To me, it's very close between Caruana, Ding, and Firouzja. With Caruana, Ding, we have a more exact idea of where they stand. With Firouzja, I wouldn't be surprised if he crushes the tournament and wins. I also wouldn't be surprised if he finished 6th. So in a way, he's much more of a wild card, but he is special, and the stuff he's done at age 18 is special. And we've seen Magnus and Kasparov win at their first attempt, although wasn't easy. But to me, he's up there with these guys with more variance.
Fair enough. I have to defend my point of view then. Well, Ding and Caruana, I gave a 4. They are favorites, but to get a 5, there can only be one favorite, and none of them are. And I think Ding and Caruana has better chances than Firouzja, so that's why I put him at a 3. Well, these guys are proven guys. We know they're that good. We are a bit more unsure about Firouzja. We don't know how he will handle pressure and such. Well, let me give them the 2 first around 30% and Firouzja about 20. That's how I see it. But he is still he's a step behind them. Maybe not. Maybe that could just be ignorance, but somehow I have seen enough proof to believe these 2 guys are the favorites. With Firouzja, I haven't seen enough yet, and that's just because of his age. There's not enough information. So I'm sort of taking that into account and putting him as number 3. While you guys have him at 1 out of the 3.
No, I mean, I put him 2. I mean, I put first Ding and then Alireza and Fabi, the same chances. So, yeah, because as you say, I mean, I think he has, of course.
Then I'm gonna cash in on a quick bet, and I'm taking Caruana against Firouzja against you, right? You have to.
You are taking Caruana against Firouzja? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Fair enough.
What do we bet? How rich? How you?
A non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah. On the
Appeals committee position.
Appeals committee
No,
position.
sorry.
All
Please,
upcoming FIDE
please, I
tournaments.
want. This is my dream job. Come on.
Yeah.
This is from now
sorry.
10 years on. I mean, but I was not friend with anyone on FIDE, and finally,
You will be.
finally it comes.
I mean,
I will do.
we will have a transparent
Sure.
process where you can bid and send your CV. That will be
Sure,
great.
I will get the transparency process and offer you a beer, just in case it helps the transparency process.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, fair enough. Chances to win. Chances to get the match. 5-5-4.
So we gave him a 5 with Jan because, I mean, Magnus pointed out. I mean, it would be weird for Magnus to say, as the only player I would be interested to play, and then he qualifies and saying I don't play.
I understand. You're giving it a 5. I still think Magnus said. I mean, it was more likely, but I have forgotten the exact formulation. It wasn't like said, then I will do it. It's just.
No, I agree, but still, out of the players in this field, it's by far the most likely Magnus will play. Alireza, because he mentioned him specifically, no, so that doesn't mean it's 100%. Could still be 50-50. But
well, we said Nakamura, he's not going to wriggle himself out of either, but who knows?
did I give Nakamura a 5? No, I only gave him a 4. Yeah, but
Yeah, fair enough. I just thought 5 means that it's almost certain, but I agree that if it's just comparative,
just
of
best
course, he's
chances,
the one
no?
with
Yeah.
that. Yeah, fair enough.
No, I think
no
FIDE.
doubt.
I
We
mean,
don't think-
the only the only problems would be for FIDE to find a sponsor, but probably France would help with that. So it's all fine.
You're trying to bait me, but I'm not going to bite.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, chickenness. Laurent sees 0 chicken.
I mean, it's not a chicken. I mean, come on, he's fighting till the very end. I mean, you saw how he lost the last round of against MVL against his countryman in Bucharest. I mean, he overpressed. He's changing openings all the time just to confuse his opponents, playing knight off,
Giving him a 2 is a
playing
bit
all
much.
kind of openings,
know why
always
I did
playing
that.
for a win. Made 8 out of 9 in European Championship for his first appearance with the French team. So, I mean, it's just... I mean, how can you see chickenness in
I
him?
gave him a 2 because, frankly, I don't know. We've seen that his nerves aren't always perfect. Like, he did some strange things, especially against Magnus in these pawn end games and so on. He's young, and we haven't seen him in that high stakes a situation. Like, he's played super tournaments, but this is by far the biggest tournament of his career. I agree, in his chess style, there's not much chickenness, but I don't know how we will react under these circumstances. And playing every opening when you're young and crashing people left and right, I don't think is an indicator of much play.
I agree with Jan. I think that's also why I gave him a 2. Now I'm wondering if I'm more thinking of nervousness than chickenness. I don't know if these things are exactly the same.
To me, it's a bit connected, because
Yeah.
maybe they don't have to.
I'm not sure.
I'm a nervous chicken. There might be very calm chicken as well.
Yeah, there might be some
very zen chicken
they
out
would
there.
repeat in the Berlin without having any
Making
sweats.
draws.
Yeah.
Chilling.
No, that's true. So the final one is openings, and I will go straight out and say that I disagree with you, and I have given a 4, and that's just plainly wrong. It should also be a 3. So I think we agree on the 3s, but you guys can tell first because you were the one who picked it first. So.
I gave a 4, which I'm not sure about. Might be high. I think he's obsessed with openings. He's been working a lot, or so I would assume, the last half year. And he's incredibly flexible. You have no idea what's coming. But yeah, we haven't seen the track record on the highest level also once everybody starts being well prepared for this Italian that he likes doing. We don't know where he will go. So maybe a 4 is a bit high.
Yeah, I gave him a 3 because I agree with you that it's very unpredictable and working on it for sure, but lacks of experience as well. So, I mean, it's like if you compare the Magnus opening in London Candidates in 2013 or in the World Championship match which he played in versus Nepo. I mean, it's clear that he just improved. He's just improving along the way. It's like with Vichy, it was the same as the start as well. He was not so well prepared, and he became very well prepared.
So just let me say, you are criticizing Magnus for the candidates in 2013, where you're not part of his team, and then you're praising the rest of his career?
No, I mean like Chennai. Let's say Chennai, and or later on. I mean,
But it also sounds like
just
your
improve.
standards is whoever makes more Stockfish 15 moves wins, and that's easier if you
No,
can prepare with Stockfish 15.
No. It's not my. It's your standard, please. Behave.
No,
it's like
I think I have given him a free. I think he's like Caruana in the sense that he's very unpredictable. He can do everything, which I think is great. But he doesn't have sort of the quality of Caruana's prep to some extent, so why I give him lower. I think his prep in terms of quality is a bit lower than Ding, but he's more unpredictable. So I put him at a 3 there, but it's a high 3. It's like, I think both him and Ding is in the high 3 category, and such and could just be close to a 4. But I just think Fabi has the best of both worlds, while they only have the best of one world, and that's sort of how I read them.
Yeah, no, for me, yeah. I gave Fabi the 5 and
Yeah.
Firouzja the 4. I'm not sure about Firouzja's 4 with hindsight.
No.
I priced in that I think he'll be working extremely hard towards this. Doesn't place much. We will find out.
I think we disagree about the numbers, but we agree about the actual argument, right? So it's
yeah.
Anyway, is this coming to an end? Do you have any kind of final remarks?
I think, first of all, we should predict who wins. I mean, it's a candidates preview. If we don't say who wins, we should do that. I'm not sure if we're smart enough on the fly to figure out who got the most points in our little system. But let's do predictions. And I will say, thinking about it now, Ding, do it. It's
my brain says Ding, my heart says Alireza.
Okay. Well, I have said it already. I think I rate Ding slightly above Caruana. If I could have Ding and Caruana against the rest, it was a no-brainer for me. If I could have Ding or Caruana and Alireza against the rest, it becomes close. I think you guys are underestimating Caruana's chances, so I will take him, but I have said already that I think Ding is a slightly bigger favorite than him. But I think you guys are underestimating.
You're not making any sense. You have to pick the most likely winner, and you're saying you rate Ding higher, but you pick Fabi? That makes no sense.
Against us.
No, I'm saying I think
he just
Ding
wants to disagree with Laurent.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying that I think Ding and Caruana is extremely close in the chances, and that, well, it doesn't matter much to me because it's so close. So I would take Caruana, you take Ding, and he takes Alireza. That's how it is.
All right, I didn't.
Okay, I take Alireza. Yeah,
transparency as it best.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take Nepo. Let's go.
Anyway, what's the most important, I think, to end this show is that we are against Una Sumos.
So
yes. We should end all the podcasts like that, no? What do you think?
Don't steal our... Yes.
Whoever wins can rest assured that the FIDE government will do their very best to find great conditions for them and secure a transparent bidding process.
Okay. And I would like to thank you for a good order during this episode and see you back. I don't know if we will just do our regular podcast or maybe we will have a candidate special. We will see.
Of course. Bye.
Take good care. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.